my brothers and sisters. Today, I want to share something that's been a compass in my life, something that grounds me no matter how high the mountaintop or how deep the valley. Put God first. Look around at everything you have: your family, your health, your talents. None of it would be possible without the grace of God. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of life, the hustle, the ambition, the distractions. But if we don't acknowledge the source of our blessings, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. As I stand before you today, I want to start with something simple yet profoundly important: gratitude. Gratitude is the foundation of a heart that knows how to put God first. It's the recognition that we are not here by accident. We are not self-made. Every breath we take, every step we walk, every blessing we experience is a gift from God. Think about it for a moment. Did you wake up this morning? Did you open your eyes to see the light of a new day? That's a blessing. Did you take a breath without struggling for it? That's a blessing. Did you hear the laughter of a loved one or feel the warmth of the sun on your face? That's a blessing too. Sometimes we overlook these things because they feel so ordinary, but let me tell you, there is nothing ordinary about God's grace. All too often we take for granted the good in our lives. We focus on what we don't have instead of what we do. But when you pause to acknowledge the gifts you've been given, something shifts inside you. Gratitude opens the door for humility. It reminds us that we're not in control. And that's a good thing, because if we were, we'd mess it up. But God, in His infinite wisdom, mercy, and love, sustains us and provides for us even when we don't deserve it. Now, I know life isn't always easy. I know that some of you might be going through tough times right now. Maybe you're facing a challenge that feels too big, a loss that feels too heavy, or a mountain that feels too steep to climb. But even in those moments, there's something to be grateful for. Sometimes the greatest blessings come not from what God gives us, but from what He takes away. That failed opportunity, maybe it was saving you from something you couldn't see. That closed door, maybe it was leading you to something greater. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the hardships in life. It's about choosing to see God's hand in the midst of them. It's about remembering that no matter what you're going through, He is with you. He has a plan for you, and His plan is always good. When we start with gratitude, we change the way we see the world. We stop looking at what's missing and start seeing what's already there. We stop worrying about what's next and start trusting the one who holds our future. Gratitude is the first step to putting God first because it shifts our focus from ourselves to Him. So tonight, as you leave here and go back to your lives, I encourage you to take a moment every day to reflect on your blessings. Thank God for the big things, the small things, and everything in between. When you live with a grateful heart, you'll find that God's presence becomes clearer, His love feels stronger, and your life becomes richer in ways you never imagined. When you put God first, you align yourself with something far greater than the fleeting opinions of people. You align yourself with purpose, a divine purpose that comes from the one who created you and knows you better than anyone else ever could. Too often we get caught up in the chase for external validation. We want the applause, the likes, the approval of others. But let me tell you something: popularity is temporary, purpose is eternal. And when you live for God's purpose, you don't need the world's approval. There's a trap in seeking validation from people. It's like chasing the wind. No matter how much you grasp for it, it's never enough. You can be celebrated one day and criticized the next. People's opinions are like shifting sand, unstable and unreliable. But God's purpose for your life is like a solid rock. It doesn't waver, it doesn't change, it doesn't depend on who's watching or what they think of you. It's steady, constant, and true. Putting God first means living for something bigger than yourself. It means asking, what does God want for my life instead of what will make me look good? It's about pursuing the calling He has placed on you, even when it's not popular, even when it's not easy, even when no one else understands it. Purpose is not about being noticed, it's about being faithful. It's about showing up, doing the work, and trusting that God will use you for something meaningful, even if the world doesn't give you a standing ovation. The truth is, when you live for purpose, you often have to walk a lonely road. Purpose requires sacrifice. It might mean stepping away from the crowd to follow a path that only God has shown you. It might mean making decisions that others don't agree with because you're listening to his voice above all else. But let me tell you, that kind of obedience is worth more than any amount of popularity. Think about the great men and women of faith throughout history. They weren't chasing popularity, they were chasing God's purpose. They faced criticism, rejection, and even persecution, but they stayed true to what God called them to do. And because of their faithfulness, their impact didn't just last a moment, it lasted generations. Living for purpose also frees you from the exhaustion of trying to please everyone. The truth is, you can't make everyone happy, and you're not meant to. But when you put God first, you find peace in knowing that his approval is all you need. You realize that your worth doesn't come from what people say about you, it comes from what God says about you. And he calls you loved, chosen, and worthy. So let go of the need to be liked, to be followed, to be applauded. Instead, seek to fulfill the purpose God has for you. Because when you align your life with his purpose, you'll find a sense of meaning and fulfillment that no amount of popularity can ever give you. Faith is the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. Without faith, everything else becomes unstable, uncertain, and incomplete. A strong faith in God is not just a spiritual practice, it's a way of anchoring yourself in something unshakable, something eternal. It serves as the bedrock for success, resilience, and peace, allowing you to stand firm when life's challenges come your way. Success that is built on worldly measures alone, money, fame, or power, will always feel fragile. One bad decision, one downturn, or one failure can make it all crumble. But when your success is rooted in faith, it is built on a foundation that cannot be shaken. Faith reminds you that your value isn't defined by achievements, but by the purpose God has placed in you. When you trust in him, success is not just about reaching goals, it's about fulfilling his will for your life. And here's the beauty of it: success rooted in faith isn't temporary. It leaves a legacy that outlasts you, a ripple effect of good that impacts others long after you're gone. Faith is also the source of resilience. Life is unpredictable. You'll face setbacks, disappointments, and pain. There will be moments when the ground beneath your feet feels like it's giving way, but a strong faith keeps you steady. It gives you the strength to get back up when you fall. It reassures you that no matter how bad things get, you are not alone and you are never defeated as long as you hold on to God. Faith doesn't eliminate hardships, but it changes how you face them. It shifts your perspective. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" faith allows you to ask, "What is God teaching me through this?" That shift in mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. And then there's peace. In a world full of chaos, distractions, and noise, peace can feel impossible to find. But faith gives you a kind of peace that nothing else can. It's the peace that comes from knowing that God is in control, that he has a plan, and that he will never leave you nor forsake you. When you build your life on the foundation of faith, you're not swayed by every storm that comes your way. You're not consumed by worry about things you can't control. Instead, you rest in the assurance that God is bigger than any problem you'll ever face. This peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the kind of peace that gives you clarity, confidence, and courage to move forward, even when the path isn't clear. A life built on faith is a life that can weather any storm, a life that isn't dependent on circumstances, but on the unwavering goodness of God. When your faith is your foundation, success is meaningful, resilience is possible, and peace is attainable. So plant your roots deep in faith and let it be the cornerstone of everything you do. It will hold you steady no matter what comes your way. Humility and service are at the heart of what it means to put God first. When you understand who God is, his greatness, his power, and his endless love, it naturally brings you to a place of humility. You realize that everything you have, everything you are, comes from him. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's recognizing that your life is not about building your own kingdom, but about being part of his. Humility begins with acknowledging that you are not the center of the universe. In a world that constantly encourages self-promotion, pride, and the pursuit of personal gain, humility stands out as a rare and powerful virtue. It's a reminder that we are not self-made, we are God-made. Every talent, every opportunity, every breath is a gift from Him. When we grasp that, we no longer feel the need to elevate ourselves above others. Instead, we seek ways to serve, to give, and to lift others up. Serving others is one of the purest expressions of humility. When you serve, you take the focus off yourself and place it on someone else. You align your heart with God's because He Himself came to serve. Think about it. Jesus, the Son of God, washed the feet of His disciples. He didn't come to be served, but to serve. If the King of Kings could humble Himself in such a profound way, how much more should we? Service is not just an act of kindness, it's an act of worship. When you serve others, you're serving God. You're living out His commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. You're reflecting His character, showing the world what it means to live a life that puts God first. And here's the thing, when you serve others, you're often the one who ends up being blessed. There's a joy, a fulfillment that comes from giving your time, your energy, and your heart to help someone else. It reminds you that life is not about accumulating, but about contributing. Humility and service also go hand in hand with obedience. Sometimes God calls us to serve in ways that are uncomfortable, inconvenient, or unnoticed by others. But when you put God first, you don't serve for recognition. You don't do it for applause or rewards. You do it because it's what He asks of you. True service isn't about what you get in return. It's about the impact you leave behind. It's about planting seeds of hope, kindness, and love that point others to Him. Living with humility and a heart of service changes you. It softens you, deepens you, and brings you closer to God. It teaches you to see the world through His eyes and to love people the way He does. So put God first by putting others before yourself. Serve not to be seen, but to make Him known. In doing so, you'll discover the beauty and purpose of a life that truly honors Him. Prayer is one of the most powerful tools God has given us. It's not just a ritual or a routine, it's a lifeline, a direct connection to the Creator of the universe. Through prayer, we are able to speak to God, share our hearts, and seek His wisdom. It's a gift that allows us to build a personal relationship with Him, to feel His presence, and to find the guidance we need in every season of life. When we pray, we aren't just speaking words into the air, we're communicating with a God who hears us, who knows us, and who cares deeply about every detail of our lives. Prayer isn't about impressing God with eloquent words or long speeches, it's about being honest and open with Him. It's a conversation, a moment of vulnerability where we can bring our joys, our struggles, our fears, and our dreams to the one who understands them all. In prayer, we don't have to pretend to have it all together. God sees us as we are, and He invites us to come to Him just as we are. Prayer is also a way of aligning our hearts with God's will. Too often, we treat prayer as a wish list, asking for what we want and expecting God to deliver it on our terms. But true prayer is so much deeper than that. It's about surrendering our desires to Him and seeking His plan for our lives. When we pray, "Your will be done," we acknowledge that His wisdom is far greater than ours, and we trust that His plans are for our good. Through prayer, we learn to listen for His voice, to discern His direction, and to follow where He leads. In times of uncertainty, prayer becomes our anchor. When life feels overwhelming, prayer reminds us that we are not alone. It's in those quiet moments of prayer that we feel God's peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding. It doesn't mean our problems disappear, but it does mean that we can face them with a calm assurance that God is in control. Prayer has the power to shift our perspective, turning our focus from our worries to God's greatness. It reminds us that He is bigger than any challenge we face. Prayer is also a source of strength and perseverance. When we're tired, when we're discouraged, when we don't know what to do, prayer gives us the courage to keep going. It's in those moments of seeking God that we are reminded of His promises that He will never leave us, that He will provide for us, and that He is always working for our good. Most importantly, prayer builds intimacy with God. It's in those moments of consistent, heartfelt prayer that we grow closer to Him, that we deepen our faith. and that we experience the joy of his presence. Prayer isn't just something we do, it's a way of life. It's how we stay connected to the source of all wisdom, love, and power. So pray without ceasing and watch how God moves in your life. God's timing is perfect even when it doesn't align with our own. As humans, we are naturally impatient, often wanting everything to happen on our schedule, according to our plans. But life has a way of reminding us that we are not in control. Sometimes we face delays, disappointments, and detours that leave us wondering why things aren't happening the way we expected. In those moments, it's important to remember that God's timing is never late, never early, it's always right on time. Trusting in God's timing requires faith. It means surrendering our need for control and acknowledging that his ways are higher than our ways, his thoughts higher than our thoughts. While we see only a small part of the picture, God sees the entire masterpiece. He knows what we need when we need it and how it fits into the greater purpose he has for our lives. The delays we face are not denials, they are often a part of his preparation process. Sometimes he withholds something from us not because he is punishing us, but because he is protecting us or preparing us for something better. Patience during these times is not easy. Waiting can feel like a test of endurance, especially when we're longing for something deeply, whether it's a breakthrough, a relationship, a dream, or healing. But it's in the waiting that God often does his greatest work in us. Waiting refines us, strengthens our character, and deepens our trust in him. It teaches us to rely on his promises and to seek his presence instead of simply focusing on the outcome we desire. Sometimes the waiting season is less about what we're waiting for and more about who we're becoming in the process. There's a peace that comes from trusting in God's timing. It doesn't mean that we won't have moments of doubt or frustration, but it does mean that we can rest in the assurance that God is in control. He has a plan, and his timing is part of that plan. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating things in ways we cannot see. Every delay, every closed door, every moment of waiting is part of his divine design. Looking back on life, many of us can see how God's timing has been perfect. Perhaps something we thought we needed immediately would not have been right for us at that moment. Perhaps a delay allowed us to grow, to heal, or to gain clarity about our purpose. God's timing often makes sense only in hindsight, but it always proves to be exactly what we needed. Trusting in God's timing requires patience, yes, but it also requires hope. It's a reminder that the one who holds the universe in his hands also holds our lives. He knows our desires, hears our prayers, and loves us more than we can imagine. So be patient, stay faithful, and trust that when the time is right, God will make it happen. His timing is never wrong, it is always perfect. Success, as the world defines it, is often measured by wealth, fame, power, or recognition. Society teaches us that if we achieve these things, we have made it, but the truth is, success without God at the center is ultimately empty. It's a fleeting, hollow victory that offers no lasting fulfillment. When we pursue success for the sake of personal gain or to impress others, we are building on shaky ground. No matter how high we climb without God, we will eventually feel unfulfilled and disillusioned. The pursuit of worldly success often promises happiness, but it rarely delivers. You can gain everything the world has to offer: luxury, accolades, status, and still feel a deep sense of emptiness. Many individuals who have reached the top of their careers or attained great wealth will tell you that these things don't bring the satisfaction they thought they would. In fact, sometimes they can make things worse. The pressure to maintain success, the isolation that often accompanies fame, and the endless striving for more can leave you feeling burned out, anxious, and unfulfilled. But when God is at the center of your life, success takes on a whole new meaning. It's no longer about what you can get, but what you can give. It's no longer about building your own kingdom, but building God's. True success, according to God's standard, is about fulfilling the purpose He has placed in your life. It's about living with integrity, loving others, and using your talents to serve His kingdom. This kind of success doesn't fade. It doesn't depend on circumstances or public approval. It is grounded in the eternal. God has designed us for more than just personal achievement. He created us to live in relationship with Him and to fulfill the calling He has placed on our lives. When we make Him the center of our lives, we begin to see that success is not about what we accumulate, but how we honor God in all we do. It's about seeking His will, following His guidance, and trusting that He will provide what we need at the right time. Living for God's purpose brings a deeper satisfaction than anything the world can offer. The joy of knowing you are living in alignment with God's will, the peace that comes from trusting His plan, and the fulfillment that comes from serving others, these are the kinds of success that truly matter. They are the things that bring meaning to our lives even when circumstances are tough. With God at the center, success is not about accumulating wealth or accolades, but about living a life that reflects His love and grace. At the end of the day, true success is about building a life that honors God and serves others. Everything else is temporary. Worldly success without God is empty, because it's not rooted in what truly matters. It's only when we put God first that success becomes something meaningful, something that lasts. With God at the center, everything we achieve has eternal value. Without Him, it's all just noise. So seek success that is grounded in Him, because that's the only kind that truly satisfies. The legacy we leave behind isn't measured by the things we accumulate or the titles we hold. It's measured by the impact we have on others, particularly the next generation. What will they remember about us? What will they carry forward? The most meaningful legacy we can leave is one of faith and purpose, one that inspires those who come after us to walk in the same footsteps of trust, integrity, and love that we have learned to embrace. A legacy of faith isn't just about what we say, it's about how we live. It's about showing the next generation what it means to put God first, to trust in His plan, and to serve others with a heart of love. Our lives are like seeds planted in the lives of others. The values we hold, the way we handle adversity, and the way we demonstrate our faith in action, these things shape the people around us, especially our children, friends, and communities. We have the opportunity to instill in them a foundation of faith that will serve them long after we're gone. If we want to leave a lasting legacy, we need to invest in the hearts of the next generation, teaching them that life is not about what they can gain, but about what they can give, giving their talents, their time, and their love to honor God and serve others. Faith is a powerful foundation. It's the one thing that can withstand any storm, any challenge, and any uncertainty. The world will throw countless distractions and temptations in front of our children, encouraging them to pursue things that promise happiness but only offer emptiness. But when we teach them to seek God first, we give them a strength that transcends anything this world can offer. We equip them with the knowledge that their value is not determined by worldly standards, but by the love of God. This is the legacy that endures, one that teaches them to live with purpose, to serve with humility, and to walk with integrity. Leaving a legacy of faith means being intentional in how we live today. It's about showing the next generation that faith isn't something we do just on Sundays or when things are going well. It's a lifestyle. It's about modeling what it means to be faithful, to trust in God's timing, to pray without ceasing, and to love without condition. We may not always see the fruits of our labor immediately, but as we consistently plant those seeds of faith, they begin to take root in the hearts of those we influence. Our legacy is not just about our actions, but the example we set. When we choose to live with purpose, choosing God's will over the world's demands, we show the next generation that it's not about chasing success or accolades, it's about following God's plan and finding fulfillment in His purpose. The way we love, the way we forgive, the way we endure hardship, and the way we serve others will leave a lasting impression. We don't have to be perfect, we just need to be faithful. In the end, the greatest legacy we can leave is one of faith, hope, and love, a legacy that will inspire those who come after us to live lives that honor God, fulfill His purpose, and continue to pass the torch of faith to the next generation. May we live today in such a way that our lives become a blueprint for others to follow, showing them what it means to walk with God and leave a legacy of purpose that lasts. As we reach the conclusion of this journey together, I want to leave you with a challenge, not just a thought to ponder, but an action to take. Life is filled with choices, and every day presents us with opportunities to decide what matters most. What will you prioritize? What will guide your decisions, shape your actions, and define your legacy? My challenge to you is simple yet profound. Reflect on your priorities and actively choose to put God first every single day. This is not just a one-time decision, it's a daily commitment. Each morning as we wake up and prepare for the day, we are faced with countless distractions, work, responsibilities, ambitions, and even our own desires. It's so easy to let the urgent things overshadow the important ones, to let the noise of the world drown out the still, small voice of God. But when we choose to put Him first, everything else begins to fall into its rightful place. He is not asking to be a part of your life, He's asking to be the center of it. Putting God first doesn't mean life will be free of challenges. It doesn't mean we won't face obstacles, disappointments, or moments of doubt. But it does mean that we will have the strength to endure, the wisdom to make the right decisions, and the peace that comes from knowing we are walking in His will. When God is at the center of our lives, we can face any situation with confidence because we know He is in control. Reflect on what truly matters to you. Is it the temporary rewards of this world, or is it the eternal treasures of God's kingdom? Take a moment to examine how you spend your time, where you invest your energy, and what occupies your thoughts. Are your actions aligned with the purpose God has for your life? Are you seeking His will, or are you chasing the fleeting approval of others? These are hard questions, but they are necessary if we want to live lives of meaning and impact. Actively choosing to put God first means prioritizing your relationship with Him. It means setting aside time each day to pray, to read His word, and to seek His guidance. It means asking Him to direct your steps and trusting Him, even when the path isn't clear. It means serving others with humility, loving without condition, and living with integrity. It's about making choices that honor Him, not just when it's convenient, but in every moment. This challenge is not about perfection, it's about intention. None of us will get it right all the time, but every step we take toward putting God first is a step in the right direction. Imagine the impact it would have not just on your life, but on those around you if you lived with God at the center. Imagine the peace, the purpose, and the fulfillment that would flow from a life fully surrendered to Him. So as you leave here today, I urge you to take this challenge seriously. Reflect on your priorities, make a conscious decision to put God first, not just in words, but in action, and then do it again tomorrow and the day after that until it becomes the foundation of everything you do. This is the life God has called you to, a life of faith, purpose, and impact. The choice is yours. Will you accept the challenge? Will you put God first? Start today and watch how He transforms your life in ways you can't even begin to imagine. As we draw this journey to a close, I want you to pause and reflect on everything we've explored together. The thread running through each message is clear. A life with God at the center is a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. It's a life that rises above temporary successes and fleeting pleasures, one that taps into something eternal and unshakable. Putting God first is not just a call to action, it's an invitation to live a life of depth, joy, and significance. We've talked about gratitude and the importance of acknowledging God's role in every blessing we enjoy. We've delved into purpose and how aligning our lives with God's will brings clarity in a world full of distractions. We've explored the foundation of faith and how it anchors us through life's storms. We've embraced the power of humility and service, understanding that true greatness comes from lifting others up. And we've recognized that the challenges we face are not obstacles, but opportunities to grow closer to God. Each of these principles is a piece of the larger picture, a life that puts God first. Prayer, as we've discussed, is our lifeline. It's the bridge that connects us to God, giving us the strength, guidance, and peace to navigate whatever comes our way. Through prayer, we surrender our fears, our plans, and our desires, trusting that God's timing is perfect. Even when it feels like life is moving too slowly or not in the direction we hoped, we can rest in the assurance that God's plans are greater than our own. He sees the beginning and the end, weaving everything together for our good and His glory. We've also reflected on success, understanding that worldly accomplishments mean little if God isn't at the center of them. True success is not defined by wealth, fame, or accolades, but by a life lived in alignment with God's purpose. It's about the legacy we leave behind, a legacy of faith, love, and integrity that inspires the next generation to walk with God. This kind of legacy endures, shaping lives long after we are gone. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a choice. Every day, we are presented with the opportunity to prioritize what truly matters. Will we chase after things that fade, or will we seek first the kingdom of God? Will we live for ourselves, or will we live for Him? The decision to put God first is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It transforms the way we see the world, the way we treat others, and the way we handle both triumphs and trials. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to take everything you've heard and put it into action. Start with gratitude. Build your life on faith. Embrace humility and service. Trust in God's timing. Pray without ceasing. And remember that success without God is empty, but with Him, every achievement is infused with meaning and purpose. Let this be the legacy you leave, a life that reflects the love, grace, and power of God. As you go forward, my challenge to you is simple but profound. Put God first every single day. Not just in words, but in every choice, every action, and every moment. Let Him guide you, strengthen you, and transform you. When you do, you will discover a life that is not just successful, but truly significant, a life that honors God and impacts the world for His glory. That is the life worth living, and it begins with one simple decision: to put God first. Now is the time. The choice is yours. So I challenge you today, examine your priorities. Are you putting God first, or is He just an afterthought? Make the decision right here, right now, to give Him the first and best of everything you've got. Because when you put God first, everything else falls into place. Seek Him, trust Him, and watch Him do the impossible in your life. Thank you, and God bless.